Well, there are many expectations, and I should be optimistic in saying that, first of all, one of the targets had already been achieved, and this is global awareness. And you see that almost no one escapes the true mission of this conference, which is to curb down carbon emissions and pledge, reduction, total reduction, maybe a complete reversal of the energy processes that are being in practice today. We are looking for a maybe zero emission carbon budget by 2050, if not earlier. Some say, as you have shown, President of India, they will push it later on. But the main thrust is already in motion, and I'm truly considering that this can be a changing point, a pivotal point in our history where everybody will pull in together, as been done before, by the way, for other environmental issues. I will remind our viewers about the ozone crisis of the 80s and the acid rain of the 70s. All those environmental issues were tackled together by nations, by the EU, and had been curbed down to a large extent. So I'm optimistic about the possibility of curbing in carbon emissions by mid-century.
Do we expect to see some sort of new protocols or major formal agreements emerge? There's a lot of skepticism looking in that this is just an international grandstand for all these leaders trying to perhaps even win a few political points at home, saying they care about the environment. Will they emerge with something real and written, do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there will be a concrete agreement with obvious targets, but there's a mechanism already in place, those international conferences and the UN SDG conferences, where nations are asked to report on their performance, and there are specific metrics by which they are measured. So you cannot go to the UN and submit your voluntary national review and show a considerable gap between what you've stated in Glasgow and what you actually done. So there's not a mechanism of enforcing and restricting activities. So you cannot tell the Chinese not to burn coal. But if China pledges that by 2040 it will reduce this and this amount of coal-based power stations, they will be held accountable in a sense that they will be on view on the world stage by all world leaders, and they will have to answer, why haven't you reached the targets that you yourself stated? And by the way, this goes as well to the Israeli government that stated rather ambitious, albeit new targets, because previous governments have done almost nothing. So this government, I really hope that the pledge will be held in place and will be translated into concrete action.
Well, let's bring
coming to your last
Yes,
comment,
go ahead, please, go ahead.
Your last comment about political power, political will. I think the voters, mostly young voters, are now really attuned to this issue of climate change and environmental degradation. And you can see that Greta Thunberg is there. And you could see it like in the recent elections in the German parliament that the Green Party got in third. So if political calculations are looking for mid-range and long-range survival of parties, they should really adhere to environmental and climate-friendly policies, and they will be judged by their voters, not by their speeches and handshakes or elbow shakes, as you showed, but concrete actions, rules passed, carbon tax, climate zero net emission targets to be executed and put into action.
Now, along those lines, and less than a minute we have at this point, but on Israel's role, Prime Minister Bennett touting the innovative abilities of Israel to contribute. Is there a special role for Israel?
There is a special role of Israel. We have already proven excellence in agri-tech and water tech, and to a large extent, the innovation powerhouse that Israel is, startup nation, had been directed now anew. I should say this is very late in coming, fashionably late, I would say, that Israel is now paying attention. But I really have a strong belief in the entrepreneurial spirit of this country and the abilities of people to come up with ingenious solutions.
Professor,
this is what we are here for.
Yoav, yes. Better fashionably late than never to the party here. Thank you for your analysis of, so far, the environmental summit taking place.
My pleasure. Thank you.